does it have to be all or nothing all the time?
Like, what am I doing? I'm doing it for the show. Field of 68 till I die.
This is the Field of 68 After Dark Show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night. And we are live once again. Welcome to the Saturday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark here on Sirius XM Channel 84, the ESPNU station. We are live on YouTube. Please like, subscribe to the channel, jump in that chat. We're going to be answering questions during breaks. My name is Rob Dauster. We are presented by our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. I'm joined tonight by former Iowa State head coach Steve Prohm and Stadium Insider Jeff Goodman. We have so much to get into tonight. It was a wild Saturday in college basketball. It's not even over yet. Oregon is in a dogfight at Arizona right now. But before we talk about all that, I want to go through our biggest winners and our biggest losers of the day. For the biggest winners, I'm going to you, Prohm. Who was your biggest winner of the day?
I think Mike White and the Florida Gators. I think they're my biggest winner of the day. It's an opportunity, number 2 team at your place. They had to get it done, and they did it, and it sets up a huge game against Arkansas. I think it's Tuesday night. They've got Arkansas and Kentucky still at home. I thought they had to get 2 out of the 3, starting with today's win against Auburn, to have a chance to be an NCAA tournament team.
Jeffrey?
I think you got to go Hubert Davis here. You know, we've given him enough crap, and he's earned it through part of the year. Obviously, some embarrassing losses, numerous embarrassing losses, including the one at home against Pittsburgh last game. But this was a big bounce back game in their first quad 1 win with 2 weeks exactly remaining in the regular season. So good for Hubert, good for Carolina, and their defense came to play finally tonight.
All right, so my biggest winner, I'm going with Grant McCasland and North Texas, who knocked off UAB today. It wasn't quite a buzzer beater from Tyler Perry, but it was close enough to a buzzer beater that we can celebrate it like a game winner. So they knocked off UAB in a game that more or less locked up. It didn't lock it up, but it put them in the driver's seat of a Conference USA regular season title. So
up 3-4 to go.
Yeah, and they got the win. All right, so for biggest losers, we got to go to Jeffrey first on that one. Goodman, who was your biggest loser of the day?
Are you calling me a loser?
That's what I was hinting at.
All right, I won't fight back on that. I'll take it. They're a bunch, but I think a team that really got hurt today was Loyola Chicago. They lost at home to Drake, and you know they're fine. They're in the tournament right now. They're probably like a 9-10 coming into that game. Now you're talking about probably being a 10 or an 11. They still have 2 road games left, and they've struggled a lot here lately, even winning games. They go to Illinois State, then they get Evansville at home, then they finish at UNI. And I think if you lose one of those 2 and don't win the conference tournament, you might be playing in the first 4, and you don't want that if you're Loyola Chicago and Drew Valentine.
Prohm?
Yeah, I think when you talk biggest winners and losers, you're really talking bubble teams. And today, Kansas State, they've had some really good wins. They've battled COVID exceptionally well. They fought through some tough situations with COVID, but won on the road in Stillwater today. They come back, they send it to overtime, but they don't get it done. Tough loss for Kansas State. The great thing about that league in the Big 12, they finish with 3 out of the 4 at home against Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Iowa State, a road game at Kansas. So they've got more opportunities, but a tough loss today for them.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Michigan State here. I think they've kind of really come back down to earth, and I think people are starting
I think they won today, Rob. How's that? I think they were winners today.
Michigan State?
Losing at home, I think they were winners because they got Tyson Walker back to what we thought he might be. So I think you take the loss and hope that Tyson Walker can be the player that he was at Northeastern and have his confidence. I don't think it matters for Michigan State. I don't. What is it going to cost them? They're going to go from a 5 to a 6 seed. They need Tyson Walker.
They might need Tyson Walker, but they also need to start winning some games and turning this thing around. It's not going well right now for Michigan State. That is impressive how you spun that though. I think that maybe you should find a job in PR at some point, man. That was impressive. That was good. I like that. All right. Speaking of someone that is great at spinning, John Calipari today picked up a super impressive win. I think this was what Kentucky did today, beating Alabama 90-81, despite taking Alabama's best punch in the first half, playing without their starting backcourt of Severe Wheeler and Ty Washington. That was as impressive of a performance that we've seen out of them. Kellen Grady, it felt like he hit 27 threes. I think he only went 7 for 9. He probably would have won the 3-point contest tonight. So Goodman, I'm going to you first on this one. What's your biggest takeaway from that Kentucky performance, and just how good is this team?
I mean, we've said it for now weeks. They're good enough to win this whole thing this year because, the pieces fit together. Even again, you're without your starting backcourt and you beat the hell out of Alabama in the second, really after the first, 15 minutes or so. I think they were down
13, down 13.
Right. Down 41-28 with about 5 minutes left in the first half. And then they dominated after that. Grady was great. Oscar was his usual self with another double-double. Davion Mintz, who's their third point guard, and he didn't commit a turnover in 39 minutes against Alabama. It kind of shows you how bad Alabama's defense is. But I think the biggest revelation with Kentucky has been Keon Brooks. He's been awesome the last probably month or so, and I think he gives him a different dimension. Again, when I was down there in the preseason, I talked to Kellen Grady a lot about their chemistry, and he's not a BSer. He's not. We're off the record, which I probably shouldn't even be saying at this point, but it's worked out so I can talk about it. He was saying how great their chemistry was, how much they hung out, him being an older guy, even hanging out with the young guys. And you could see it now. Their chemistry is absolutely terrific. And again, I think the blend of experience and youth works with this group.
Yeah, I think the experience point is really important. I went through and looked up all of the birthdays for their best 5 tonight. Davion Mintz is 23 years old. Kellen Grady, 24 years old. Oscar Tshiebwe is 22 years old. Yeah. Keon Brooks is 21 years old. And who am I missing? The other someone else was 20. Jacob Toppin, 21 years old. All of them are upperclassmen. I don't know what their technically what they are in terms of years, because the COVID seasons gets me all confused. But all of those guys have been in college at least 3 years. Prohm, did you ever think that you would see a John Calipari team winning games like this with a bunch of upperclassmen?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job this year. I think he's done a phenomenal job. I think Jeff had the other day just winners and losers in the transfer portal. I think he's done an incredible job. Kellen Grady, just the skill level, basketball IQ, ability to spread the floor and make shots. I know Severe didn't play today, but he's been a big addition. Obviously, Tshiebwe. But I think the biggest thing you look at, how impressive a win. You don't have your backcourt, and you play Alabama in the pace that they play at, and you get down 13. He only played his bench 9 minutes today. 9 minutes. Crazy. He played 4 guys off the bench, 1 4 minutes. I think Collins 4 minutes, Bryce Hopkins 2 minutes, another guy or two. The starters played the majority of the game at that pace, that high level of a game, and they come out and dominate the last 25 minutes. Kentucky's obviously legit. I think I was texting with Rob during the game earlier today. I don't know if they can win the SEC. They may tie. I think Auburn will end up being the number 1 seed. I'll say that. They tie for the title, but I think Auburn will be the number 1 seed based on head-to-head. But that Auburn-Kentucky SEC championship game in the SEC tournament, that'll be a lot of fun to watch. But incredible job today by Kentucky. Just really, really good win, and they got a big game against LSU coming up.
Hey, Rob, when I was down there in the preseason, I remember asking Cal one question. I said, in our big powwow that we had, I said, if this works, are you going to go this route? Are you going to keep with this route of transfers, older guys with freshmen? And he kind of looked at me and he said, not necessarily. I thought for sure it was a given. This is the route he's going to go from here on out. But I think he wanted to see how this thing works. So he kind of said to me, not necessarily. I'm not sure. I'm not tied to it all. But I think now, after the success they're seeing this year, you would think Calipari would feel pretty good about this blueprint going forward, because he can get the best transfers and the best freshmen. And why wouldn't you have that blend of experience and top talent?
Well,
Yeah, and
here's
I think
my
Cal
thing with that. No, well, I just broke. I don't mean to cut you off. But my thing with that is, I think it's less about how you build the roster and more about the kids that you build the roster with. Like the thing about that team that won in 2012 with all the freshmen, like Anthony Davis was willing to sacrifice. Michael K. Gilchrist was a great kid that played a certain kind of way. And when your two best players are your hustle guys and your defensive anchor, I think that kind of changes what you can be. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that every team is going to be built around freshmen like that, or every team needs to be built around upperclassmen. But I think if you look at the actual kids on the roster now, all that said, the team that won in 2012 also had a bunch of upperclassmen that played on, like Darius Miller and Deron.
Yeah, Darius Miller was huge for that team.
Yeah, so I don't think that you should lean all the way into one way or all the way into the other way. I think you need to make it be a mix and identify the human beings that you want in your program, because I think like that's what Villanova does so well, right? And that's what Baylor does so well. They identify people that fit with what they want and how they want to play and what they want to do and what they want the culture in that locker room to be. And I think that Kentucky really hit a home run this year with just the kids on that team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, the transfer portal, as good as it can be, it can go the other way on you too, because when you come January and things get tough, now everything's revealed. Characters revealed, toughness is revealed when you're going through tough moments. In Kentucky, they had some setbacks early, the Notre Dame loss we touched on and, a couple other, setbacks along the way. But the one thing you got to know, if you sign up for that Kentucky to play Kentucky, he's going to coach you very, very hard every day. And he's going to demand of you at an exceptionally high level. And I mean, I saw the other night they were playing, man, halftime going in there, man, he's all in Kellen Grady. I mean, he is getting after him. And Grady, he handled it. And you saw it, and we'll get to it. Texas Tech, Mark Adams coaches those guys hard. And they get a little chippy, but it stops. It stops. And, man, all eyes on Mark, all eyes on John, and that's a credit to those guys.
They got shooters this year, too.
Mm-hmm.
They got a shooter. Like, Cal hasn't had a shooter like Kellen Grady in how long? And we say it every year. Why? You can hand pick. Go get the best shooter, whether it's out of the portal, whether it's from high school, whatever it is, because you got enough other dudes that can drive and kick, athletes, whatever you've wanted. He did that this year with Kellen Grady, and he has been lights out. I think the last 18 games, he's shooting 47% from three.
Yeah, and he's coming from a program like Davidson where, Bob has coached the heck out of him too, where he understands how to play within a system and playing the right way. And like you said, spacing the floor and understanding and okay with that role.
Yeah. And I also do think it's one thing I want to give a little bit of credit to for Kentucky. There's a very much a next man up attitude when it comes to basketball programs and any kind of a team. You have somebody go down, it doesn't mean that you can just quit. You still have to go out there and win. So I think we have to give a lot of credit to guys like Davion Mintz and guys like Jacob Toppin, who in moments where, Toppin's battling through an ankle injury of his own, in moments where it was their time to shine. I thought they both
could have left. Mintz, everybody thought he should have left. Why would you come back for another year? Just go and make money overseas or whatever, because they got Wheeler and Ty coming in, and he stuck with it, and he was huge today. Huge.
Yeah. Yep. Credit to them. All right. A lot happened in the SEC today. So I do want to kind of make it a broader conversation. Before we get into Tennessee and Arkansas, I do want to talk about Auburn going into Florida and losing that game, despite the fact that they got 28 points from Jabari Smith. So, Prohm, I'm going to go to you first on this one. How difficult is it to play at Florida? I don't think that Auburn's won there since 1996. That was a stat that they showed during the game. I don't know if it's correct. I'm just going to trust that ESPN has people that can fact check. So they have, I think it's 14 straight losses at Florida now for Auburn. What do you make of this loss? And is this something that's concerning or just, one of the dangers of playing on the road in conference?
I think number one, it's part of playing on the road in college basketball. And I think one thing people take for granted too, and we haven't talked about it yet, is Colin Castleton's back for Florida. I mean, and they went through a stretch where they struggled. He missed 7 games this year, and he is a monster impact player for Florida Gators. Appleby, obviously, he's terrific. But if you took Kessler and Sheboy out of the SEC, who's the next big that you're trying to get? And maybe I'm skipping one over, Jalen Williams at Arkansas. But, I mean, Colin Castleton is huge for that basketball team. And now he's back, and he's making big plays for them, had a great game today. But I think Florida's kind of middle of the pack when you talk about atmosphere in the SEC. in a tough environment to win. I'd put them in the middle of the pack. Obviously, you got Kentucky, you've got Arkansas, I think Tennessee, some of those schools like that, but Auburn obviously right now. But I just think it's life on the road in the SEC. I think it's life on the road in college basketball. And Auburn still, man, you look at it and I'm like, man, Bruce is still going home. He's 24, 25-3 in first place in SEC, probably one of the top 1-2 leagues in the country.
Are you worried, Jeff? Are you worried about Auburn at all?
I am. I'm worried about their point guard play. It was the same thing I said going into the year, and I kind of ate crow for a while. And it's hard because you eat crow early and you're like, what can I say, right? Like Wendell Green was great. He's making shots. He's doing a good job. Zep Jasper was rolling at that point defensively. They were a really good, like, two-headed monster at the point. Then Jasper gets hurt. Wendell Green's got to play long minutes. He's not great defensively. Then he's not making shots consistently, and he looks like a high-volume, low-efficiency point guard. And he's making some poor decisions, too. One of them was at the end of the game tonight. To me, I don't know. And Prohm, weigh in on this because you're the coach. On this one. Is that on Wendell Green or is that on Bruce Pearl not to run something to get Jabari Smith to look? They were trying to get the ball to Walker Kessler. You could see it. Why wouldn't you run something for Jabari Smith? He's made, I think it was 11 of his last 13 shots from three. He can rise up over whoever's on him at that point.
Yeah, I think Rob was in a Twitter argument about that with somebody I saw just because of the time and score situation. They started from three-quarter court. Probably if you're trying to get a quick isolation, you may get it across if Auburn had a timeout and then run it from the side out of bounds if you want to put Jabari in a situation where you're going to clear the side of the floor for him and let him go one-on-one. But I think if you go back to the Arkansas game, the way that finished before it went to overtime, I believe that was the ball was in Wendell Green's hand, settled for a tough shot and went to overtime, and he put no pressure on the basket. When you're looking at that, I think, number one, you got to give credit to Florida about their defensive effort on that play now. Okay, you can always say bad offense, but credit Florida because how many times when you watch Auburn play do they get late pick and roll lobs to Kessler at the rim? Man, it's a late switch, and I don't know which player, may have been DeJure, the good defender from Florida. I'm not sure which one made the switch, but he switched and he got the deflection late. That could have easily been two on the ball. Nobody in the middle because the guards were hugged up on shooters.
Well, he had them. If you watch tape, Kessler was open for like a second, but it was just Wendell Green is 5'6" and couldn't get the pass there. That was the issue. Yeah. My take real quick is that I'm worried about them in late game scenarios because Jabari Smith is a guy that you need kind of isolated on a wing. He's not someone that you give the ball to and let him go 94 feet and dribble. That's not his game. You want him kind of in those Carmelo Anthony elbow extended areas, facing up, using his jab series, elevating over people. You don't necessarily, you're not really running him off screens, and you're not letting him go 94 feet with the ball. He's not a great ball handler at this point. So I just think it was an awkward spot, and that worries me a little bit. You don't have a great decision maker. Real quick, we got about 2 minutes here before we got to get to break. Goodman, Arkansas has won 11 of their last 12. They're top 20 in all the metrics. Yeah. They're going to be top 20 in every single rankings, including the Goodman top 25. Will you finally apologize to Arkansas Nation and to Mama Hog specifically?
No, I'm not there yet. I still think, listen, they've been great, but I'm not apologizing for anything because what I said was 8 weeks ago, they weren't a top 25 team, and they weren't. So in fact, Arkansas fans, you should be apologizing to me because you weren't worthy then. You got better. Now you're in the top 25. You're still in the back end of it. But no, I was right. So goddamn it, back off. So
hey,
back
Jeff,
off.
Jeff, let me ask you a question. Hey,
have you set up a quick Hail Mary? Mama Hog is coming after you, boy.
Hey, have you been, because the way I read it between you and Mama Hog, have you been to Bud Walton for a big time game?
No, because they've been irrelevant for how many years? Why would I go?
When I was in college, that back in the mid-90s at Alabama, okay, The Alabama team, we had Antonio McDyess, Roy Rogers, Jason Caffey. We were really good. We gave them their first loss ever in Bud Walton Arena. Corliss Williamson,
Really?
Scotty Thurman. When Bud Walton is going now, and they're running up and down the aisles with the band and they're calling the Hogs.
No, their fans are nuts, Steve. Listen, I will say it last year in Indy for the NCAA tournament, Arkansas had the best fan base of anybody. They're insane. I actually love their fans. I just like to kind of have a little fun, but it is true. I would have been to Bud Walton in the last 10 years, but they haven't been relevant enough for me to go.
Because the SEC tournament, one of the best things about the SEC tournament is seeing the Kentucky fans come in big blue, and then the next best team that supports is Arkansas, and it's crazy. Are you going to take Mama Hog's invitation and get up there and let her be your bodyguard up there?
I mean, I was going to invite her to Boston and see if we could have some Coors Lights together. See who could get through more Coors Lights. I'm not a heavyweight. My guess is
you could not. No, she would out.
Mama Hog would drink me under the table, right?
Well, because she could probably drink 2 beers, and that's all it takes.
Hey, listen, that's unfair.
Well, listen, hold on.
We
have to pay the bills real quick. But coming up next, I'm going to tell you why you should not be surprised that Texas Tech won a home game in Austin tonight.
You're clear.
All right, Dagan, I know that chat is going nuts right now. What do we got? Give us some questions.
Yeah, it's going pretty crazy right now. Obviously, Tech fans are all waiting for their moment. But one thing I did see, and we'll lead into this with this. If Tech wins out and wins the conference tournament, can they make it to the 1 line?
Oh, no question. They'll have a chance. That was one of the things I was going to talk about at the end. They got a chance for sure to get to a 2 seed. Their schedule ends great. They're not going to lose again. Kansas may lose at Baylor. That's why they'll still win the Big 12 regular season, in my opinion. But Tech could win out.
I don't think they can get a 1, though. I don't think they can get a 1.
I don't think they'll get a 1. I think that it's either going to be Kansas or Baylor or somebody coming out of the Big Ten.
They're a 2 today. I think they're a 2 right now, to be honest. I think they're the last 2 for me.
Yeah, they're kind of in that 2-3 line for me. I mean, it depends on who they beat in that run. If they win the Big 12 tournament, it kind of depends. If you beat Kansas and Baylor en route to
30
the
seconds
Big 12 title, then I think that there's a chance. I'm not going to say no to anything that Mark Adams can figure out like that.
Yeah, if they win out and beat Kansas in the Big 12 title game 15. In Kansas City.
Yeah, I look. We know how good
seconds.
they are. They can make it to a Final Four. I'm not arguing that. I just don't know if they can get all the way up to a 1 seed
5
this year.
Here we go.
We are back. This is the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live right now on Sirius XM, the ESPNU station. That is channel 84. My name is Rob Dauster. With me, I have Stadium Insider Jeff Goodman and former Iowa State head coach Steve Prohm. We just finished talking about the SEC, and we have to go talk about probably the biggest game in the Big 12. Texas Tech goes into Austin and wins a home game. Jeff, they went into Austin and won a home game. There were defense chants when Texas had the ball down the stretch. There were air ball chants in the second half when Andrew Jones missed a shot. What do you make of Tech's win and Tech's sweep of Chris Beard and the Texas Longhorns?
Can you read this, Robert? Can you
read
it
this? It says West Texas Tough. I hope everybody on YouTube can read it.
West Texas Tough. Somebody gave me this when I was down in Lubbock a couple of weeks ago, and it's true, man. Like, listen, the culture there is all about toughness, and the culture has been built. I tweeted this. Chris Beard is trying to build a culture in Texas. He left one that was already built, whether it was, 50% him, 60% him, 40% Mark Adams, 60, whatever it was, it didn't matter. They did it together.
No question.
And yes, he left. But the fact of the matter is Mark Adams has done such an incredible job because he's not had a full complement of players pretty much all year. Today, it was no Kevin McCullough, who I think is their most valuable player. He had 19 in their first meeting. He orchestrates the offense. He runs the offense when you need him to. He's a great defender. He's an intangible guy. He brings everything to the table. But, ultimately it's their defense. And it was their defense again today. What did they give up? 55 points today? And Clarence Nadolny was awesome today. And that just shows their culture and their next man up kind of mantra. But they've now swept, think about this, they've swept Texas and former coach Chris Beard. They've swept Baylor, and they've swept West Virginia this year. If you had told any of us that they do that this year, what would the odds have been on that? 1,000,000 to 1?
Not good. Not good. I don't think Bet Rivers would have given that odds. We don't need to bankrupt. We don't need to bankrupt the sports book. Steve, you've coached against these guys in these programs. I'm curious. How strange is it to go on the road like Texas Tech did and be playing in front of a crowd that was, it was 50-50 at minimum Texas fans. It felt like a neutral court.
Yeah, I when I saw that and I saw the progression of it where it started early this morning, you people started talking about it, about Texas Tech fans buying those tickets. And I just started. The only thing I could maybe compare it to is maybe sometimes Kentucky, the way they could fill up arenas sometimes, or the way they would snatch up tournament tickets at the SEC. But even Iowa State fans would snatch them up in the Big 12 tournament as you kept winning from that standpoint. But never seen anything like that in that high level of game to where you're at home. It was what Fran Fraschilla said. It had a Big 12 semifinal tournament feel where it's 50% rooting for this team, 50% rooting for this team, and may the best team win. And without McCullough, because I agree, he's the heart and soul of that team. But you have, like Clarence Nadolny as a junior, he has found a niche off the bench. And he had a huge offensive rebound late.
Oh, huge.
Terrence Shannon, he brings an edge and a toughness and a swagger to that team. But a huge key, again, you go back to the transfer portal, Bryson Williams, man. They've got a legit post threat and a guy that can step out and spread you out. And he's a big time player.
You know what I'm worried about with this Texas Tech team, and I'm curious if you guys agree with me. It's, again, we're kind of banging the same drum as the point guard play, right? Down the stretch, I think they gave up a late 9-0 run when Texas started throwing on a little bit of pressure. Texas Tech started throwing the ball all over the place, making some bad decisions. They win and they thrive on the fact that they have basically 5 dudes that are interchangeable, and they go 9 deep with 5 dudes that are interchangeable, right? Everybody's the same size. They all kind of do the same thing. But that kind of limits what they can be a little bit offensively, because you don't have that guy, Steve, that can kind of break down an offense, that can get you set up, that quote unquote pure point guard on the roster. Does that worry you at all?
Well, it did today, and I think we were texting at the time from that standpoint, to where I think Texas, man, they really, really put their full court pressure, face guard, double team, trapping, and Texas Tech was sloppy with the ball, not only in the backcourt, not strong with the ball, turn it over, but also in the front court. And I think Texas left some points out there at the free throw line, around the rim late, plays that in a game like that, you got to get everything, especially when you get down 8, 9, 10 that late in the game. But credit Texas Tech. Their ability and their toughness level and their character to win in big moments. It starts with Mark, but obviously Terrence Shannon, Kevin didn't play today, but he's still heartbeat of that team. Bryson Williams, Nadolny. You go down the line. Those guys were terrific today. And to go in there and sweep Texas and win that game today, not only keeps them in the race for Big 12 championship, they're 2 back with Kansas. I don't think they'll catch them, though their schedule, I think they'll win out. I just don't think Kansas may lose more than 1. It does give them a chance, I think, like we touched a minute ago, to be a 2 seed, though.
Mark Adams, Coach of the Year. Mark Adams, Coach of the Year today. I know our producer, Dagan, rips on me all the time because I'm constantly changing my Coach of the Year pick. It was Ed Cooley, 5 days ago before they lost them. But that was before they lose at home to Villanova. And then Mark Adams and Texas Tech go to Austin and sweep the Longhorns. Things can change quickly. I think they have. But to me, Mark Adams is the front runner, because nobody in hell thought that they were going to do anything close to this other than the people in Lubbock. Those fans are crazy. They thought they would do this, but nobody else did.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that,
the one thing when you really look at their roster, though, and I think, Jeff, you may have tweeted this and talked about this, or Rob, and maybe it was Jeff, when you were talking about the culture, like it doesn't matter. It's 50-50. Who cares, right? It's there and it's real. The fans, the way they play. But you look at the guys they return, Shannon, McCullough, Santos Silva. That is important. And man, just like Kentucky, they filled them in with, boy, we hit it on the boy from Oral Roberts, Urbana, Bryson Williams. You know, I mean, that's huge. And the thing about Texas Tech, you better get you got to jump on board or you're not going to make it.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you guys this. Kansas probably has I don't think that they can blow a 2-game lead in the conference with just 4 games left for Texas Tech. When they play Kansas State at home, they get TCU in a home and road. They get Texas at home, and the only game that they really probably won't be favored in is at Baylor. So I do want to ask you guys this, and it feels like we talk about this all the time. But Jeff, if you have to put all of your money down right now, not knowing what the matchups are going to be, with that caveat, put Baylor. You think Baylor's the one going deepest in the tournament out of this?
I still like a Kinjo better than I like Harris or whatever Texas Tech has at the point. I also think if they can get healthy, again, it's a big if right now. Cryer's out again. He came back for a game. He's out. Flagler was great when I saw him last week in Waco, and he didn't play today. So I almost feel like if I'm Scott Drew now, I shut him down for the next week, give him a game or 2 before the Big 12 tournament, just get him. And I don't know how you would handle this, Steve, but get him a couple games, 1 before the Big 12 tournament. Hope you play maybe 2 in the Big 12. You almost don't want to play too much because you want that rest. And then you get them ready for NCAA tournament. They know what NCAA tournament matters. All this other stuff doesn't really matter. They've been there last year and saw that in person. So I would say that's the biggest thing for me, but I love their guard play when they're healthy.
Man, I tell you, it's just hard. The more I watch Texas Tech, and I know point guard play, I get it and I understand it, but I think the way they play offensively, motion and, and just move the ball around. It's not all it goes through so many different people with interchangeable parts. I just think in short spurts, in short preparation, that is an immense tough prep, especially on the second day. That first round, they're going to watch the Oklahoma tape from the other day when they scored 45 points in the second half the other day when Oklahoma beat Texas Tech in Norman. There's some things you have to do offensively, and there's certain shots you're going to get against them and certain cuts that your kids need to be trained in a one-day prep. It's very, very hard to be ready to play at Texas Tech. And that's what I go back to too. When Gonzaga played Baylor national championship, one-day prep, that's very, very tough to get ready for the no-middle defense and the way that they play. So I think Texas Tech, I still like them right now, the way they're playing and the way they compete and just the way they're unified.
I'm still going to stick with Bill Self and Baylor. I know that, or I'm Bill Self and Kansas, just because I think losing Jonathan Chanwa-Chacha was huge for Baylor. And I can't fully buy into teams that don't have great point guard play making runs in March. And I know that's kind of talking out of the side of my mouth, both sides of my mouth when it comes to Kansas and DeJuan Harris, but what Bill Self has proven it. But I think all three of those teams can make a Final Four.
It's crazy that we each picked a different team out of those three.
Yeah. I think all three of them can take a Final Four. But listen, we gotta step away for 1 second, really quick. When we come back, coming up next, the top 16 revealed. The NCAA selection committee told us who the top 16 seeds are. Goodman is going to tell you who got robbed, because somebody got robbed.
You're clear.
All right, guys, we have 415 people watching right now live on YouTube, and we only have 56 likes. If you get to 100 likes in the afters, I will shotgun this White Claw on stream. Okay, we got to get to 100 likes. I will shotgun the White Claw on stream. Dagan, we got any questions?
Yes, it's very hard to keep up with all the questions, so I'm going to try to remember them off the top of my head. But I remember one saying, who is the most, maybe one, or give me a list, impactful transfers this year. I know, Goodman, this is kind of something you already.
Yeah,
it's Big Sheeb. It's Big Sheeb, baby.
I would say Auburn, Kentucky, and Wake Forest have most of them. Melendez Williams might be as impactful as anybody, to be honest. That's under the radar.
Sheeb is We're going to talk about player of the year. Big
Sheep.
Sheep's on that list.
Walker Kessler, Big Sheep. Yes.
Can I give you a hot take?
Sure.
Walker Kessler is more important to what Auburn does than Oscar Tshiebwe is to what Kentucky does.
Oh boy.
30
is that
seconds.
Crazy?
Tweet that one out, Dagan.
Just
tweet that baby out.
Is that a hot take? Well, I'm asking.
Say that again.
Walker Kessler is more important to what Auburn does than Oscar Tshiebwe is to what Kentucky does. Is that a crazy hot take?
Those Kentucky fans, I hope they don't get your address.
15.
I'm gonna give them your phone number right here. Right here.
Hey,
that's
the thing.
your phone number.
When you talk National Player of the Year debates, though,
5.
look at all top 6. Take them off
Steve.
that team and just.
There you go.
I mean.
And we are back. This is the Field of 68 After Dark. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Jeff Goodman and Steve Prohm here with me, and we are going to get into the selection committees, the reveal of the top 16 teams. Gonzaga was the number 1 overall seed. Auburn and Arizona, as expected, both got 1 seeds, and Kansas was the final number 1. Jeff, I'm going to you first on this one, man. What was your single biggest takeaway from the bracket? I guess it was the bracket reveal, the top 16 reveal, seed reveal, whatever it is.
My biggest takeaway, and I was afraid they were going to screw this up, was that they didn't penalize Wisconsin and Providence as much as I thought they would. They had them at 13 and 15. I actually think Providence should be even higher than 13 based on their resume. They're 8-4 in quad win games, 4-1. So 12-5 overall in quad 1 and 2s. I get it. Like, you look at them and you're like, how they're going to drop off, but they haven't yet. And we've got 2 weeks left until the end of the regular season. So I would have Wisconsin even higher than 13, but at least they didn't crush Wisconsin in Providence. Think about this. Providence is 45 in Ken Palm right now. 45 going into the day, 29 in the net. At least they put him at 15. So they didn't kill him. So I was happy for that.
Steve, you got any takeaways?
I think the one takeaway, when I looked at it and I said, all right, Texas lost today and they're a 4 seed. Tennessee lost today. There's a 3 seed. Obviously, I think Texas Tech's going to move up. Kentucky has a chance to move up. My biggest takeaway is who's a 5 or 6 seed, 7 seed that legitimately can move in to the top 4 line. And when you really look at it, man, I was searching. You look and you say, well, Ohio State lost today. Yeah. Michigan State lost today. Houston's lost a couple, 2 out of their last 3. Bama.
UConn,
and then you say,
the UConn Huskies, Steve.
That's UConn Huskies are playing well, and then Mama Hog. They got Arkansas next. They got Kentucky at home. They're at Florida, and then they got Kentucky at home Saturday. You should be at that game.
Hey, listen, if Arkansas gets hot, Arkansas is the one team that might be able to make a run here into
that's the one I had circled.
Because they're at Florida's a quad 1 game, Kentucky at home, quad 1 game, LSU at home, quad 1 game, at Tennessee, quad 1 game. Now, here's the thing: they could easily
go 1-3 easily.
Yeah, they could lose all 4. Like, that is a brutal run-in. But if they win all 4, then their resume pretty drastically changes. And while we're here,
Southern Cal maybe, but
who have they beaten really?
That's what I mean. It's like, because next up is Wyoming. Wyoming, Murray State, when you look at the rankings and things. Yeah. And they're not going to be all the way up there.
And that's the one thing when you're trying to tell people, when you do a top 25 right now, it's like, hey, there's a top 14, 15 teams. And after that, you can throw a lot of them in a hat. They're going to change every few days based on who wins that day. But there's not a whole lot of disparity.
Yeah, and I want to give a quick shout out to our Fielding the 68 show. It comes on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Right here on this channel that you're watching on YouTube and on Twitter. They got all 16 of the seeds correct. The only things that they got wrong was they had Villanova and Duke swapped, and they had Illinois and Wisconsin swapped. So they pretty much nailed all of that for the top 16 teams. So I want to give a shout out to
watch that show every Monday, every Friday. These are guys. We didn't just rely on one. We've got 4 of them to make sure that we've got a good cross section there, and they're younger. No knock on Jerry Palm and Joey Brackets, but they're getting a little long in the tooth.
The guys we got are the best in the business in my mind. Nobody pays more attention than them. Jim Root, Rocco Miller, Andy Bottoms, Lucas Harkins, Kai McKeon. I hope I did. Did I miss someone? I think I got them all. Did I get everyone?
Jonathan Warner.
There you go. I knew I was missing one. Yeah. So those 6 guys do our brackets. They're the best in the business. All right, let's go through region by region. Let's start with the West. We have Gonzaga as the number 1 seed. That's pretty brutal, drawing Duke on the number 2 seed line. What's your takeaway there, Jeff?
Yeah, I wasn't even sure Duke deserved to be on that 2 line, but if you get them, I mean, just imagine that matchup to get to the Final Four, that Gonzaga Duke game. How high powered it would be. Again, we saw it in Vegas, but with everything on the line, to have this Gonzaga team and this Chet Holmgren, which is completely different than the one we saw last time when these 2 teams met. It'd be a great game. I mean, again, to me, I thought Duke was they gave them a little bit of juice there at the 2 line instead of a 3.
Yeah, they are the 8th overall seed. And I would not be surprised if after today's games, if the committee reseeded all of this, if Texas Tech jumped up to that number 8 spot. Texas Tech right now is the number 10 overall seed. Steve, let me ask you this. I think it's a little bit interesting that Arizona is kind of locked in as the 3 seed, which means that if that happens, they are probably heading to San Antonio, which is about the same distance from Tucson as San Francisco would be. I don't know if that's true. Someone gave me that stat the other day, so I'm just going to go with it and pretend that it's accurate. That's about how much I fact checked here. How worried would you be if you're Arizona, you're in the South region, and you potentially get Baylor in the same region as you in Baylor's home state? Is that a concern?
Definite concern. Playing them in San Antonio, I think it's a huge deal. I would, without question, rather play them in San Francisco than San Antonio. I'm not sure how far Waco, like you talked about the mileage. I don't know what the mileage is.
You can pick Arizona, right? Can't they pick, or just the ones?
I think just the ones.
I think it's one seed. I think it's distance.
Yeah, right. But if I'm Baylor, I love playing them in San Antonio. Obviously, still got to beat them. Still going to be a hell of a game. But I'd much rather have them coming out to San Francisco to play me than having them meeting me in San Antonio.
Yeah, and as we're watching this as we're doing this right now, Arizona is up by 1 at home over Oregon. Just to put in context how important that win might end up being, it's going to be the difference between going to San Antonio to have your regional, or to go to the East region to Philadelphia, where Kansas right now is the number 1 seed, but they draw Kentucky in that region, Villanova in that region, and Johnny Davis in that region as of right now. If you are Arizona, you probably want to be in San Antonio instead of having to deal with potentially Kentucky, potentially Villanova, and potentially Johnny Davis. Am I right, Jeff?
Yeah, that's a great region if that ever happened. I mean, I know we want to talk more about probably the seeding than the regions, but again, Kansas, Kentucky,
but it's
Villanova.
fun to think about these matchups, man. Like how great.
Agreed. But I think it's, again, they did a clear. And it's not that different than what everybody's had so far this year. I mean, we know who the top teams are right now. We know who they are. They know who they are. A lot's going to change in the next couple of weeks. Probably more of the bubble teams and the lower seeds. I think the top 15 or 16 teams, for the most part, again, are pretty clear. And I don't think too many of them are going to fall after 15. I think then you go, Texas was 16 today. And like Steve said, who moves in there? I don't know. But I don't see Providence falling that far. I don't see Wisconsin fall. Their resumes are too strong, what they've done.
And I think it's more like we talked about when we said who can win a national championship. I think it's more 12 to 14. I think you're almost 15, 16. You don't
trust them. Yeah, you don't trust
like
them.
Texas. I mean, you want them, you're pulling, you're like, and it's just, man, you gotta win today though.
They can't win 2 in a row. Most days. I mean, they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. Alabama is the ultimate, who knows what you're going to get with them. Michigan State, as I tweeted today, you are what we thought you were. I mean, you really are, right? Going into
where is Greg Waddell?
Yeah, he's not happy.
Cardelli is down bad right now. Let me ask you guys this, and then we can get to our last commercial break here in a second. But I was a little surprised, maybe just because of the way that the conference has been discussed so far this season, that the Big Ten did not have anyone seated higher than a 7, and they only had 3 teams popping up out of the top 16. Based off the way that we kind of viewed this league all year, Jeff, you would, is that a little disappointing for the conference?
Yeah, I mean, you thought there'd be, again, you thought Purdue, but it's again Purdue, Illinois, and then everybody else, right? All those teams I don't know the difference. Ohio State, Michigan State, Indiana's fallen right now.
Iowa, that's your next little hodgepodge.
Yeah, they're all about the same. And it wouldn't surprise me if any of those teams we talk about make a Sweet 16 run, but it would shock the hell out of me if any of those teams other than Purdue or Illinois make a Final Four run.
More shocking, one of those teams making a Final Four run or Steve Prohm dropping hodgepodge on the Field of 68 after dark again.
Hodgepodge is in Iowa. Well, I mean, you got to think of where Steve's from, right? It fits, where he's not from, but where he's resided over the last, decade or so.
Yeah. Well, listen, we got to pay the bills one last time here, but coming up next, I am going to tell you who the National Player of the Year should be, and Jeff Goodman has it wrong.
Clear.
Guys, I hope you're watching this Oregon Arizona game, because it is
elbow. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's
getting spicy, as the kids might say. Dagan, what do we got? We got some questions.
Yes, we do. Let me see here. Can Illinois move up to a 2 seed? Dare I say it, a 1 seed? That's from Jay Ambitious.
Yeah, they. I don't know about a 1 seed. Let me just bring up what their schedule is down the stretch. I would not be surprised to see them get up to a 2 seed if they win the Big Ten tournament. Because that's the thing you got to remember. If they win the Big Ten tournament, they're going to beat a lot of good teams. Yeah, this is the end of their schedule down the stretch. They're Ohio State at home, at Michigan, Penn State at home, Iowa at home. Those are 3 top 30 teams. They win all those, and they win the Big Ten tournament. Yeah, I could see them getting a 2 seed. One seed is
not a 1. Yeah, not a 1.
One seed's a stretch, but I could see them getting up to a 2 seed.
Yeah,
they're 12 right now, so they would have to jump 4 teams to be able to get up there. I could see them doing that. By the way, at literally 30 seconds after I said that I was going to shotgun a White Claw on stream, if we get
but say get ready.
We're at 1,000.
The fastest 50 likes I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was
how many?
20 seconds.
We're at 130 likes now. Literally like this, it went straight to over 100 likes.
Now, do you shotgun it on the after dark period?
Yeah, it's gonna be
10
the
seconds.
afters. I can't shotgun on Sirius XM. Kono might fire me.
5. Here you go.
We are back. It is the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman, Steve Prohm. We got about 10 minutes left here. We're live on Sirius XM channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We are streaming live over on YouTube. The chat on our YouTube stream is going wild right now. Shout out to everybody in there having a good time, having a good Saturday night. We're here to talk about National Player of the Year because I think it is the most fascinating National Player of the Year race that we have seen probably since I've been covering it. Yeah, probably since I've been covering this sport. There's never been a point where we've had 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys that could legitimately be considered National Player of the Year. You have National Player of the Year contenders right now, and you're going to see the graphic that producer Dagan put together. There's 5 guys on that list. It doesn't include Johnny Davis because Johnny Davis did not play today. I want to make that very clear. We did not forget about him. He just did not play today. But those 5 guys on the list could all win National Player of the Year. You're not going to be able to get all of them on First Team All-America if Johnny Davis is there as well. So, Jeff, I'm going to you first. If you had to pick today, who would your National Player of the Year be and why?
And the list also does not include Drew Timme, who's playing, I think, now, right? They're playing tonight.
Yep.
So I don't think it'll include him as well. And Sean Miller picked him the other night, just so we know. I would go Johnny Davis. I just feel like if you took Johnny Davis off Wisconsin, I've said this several times, and I'm not kidding. I'm not over exaggerating this at all. I'm honestly not sure if they're an NIT team. I really believe they might not be an NIT team. He is that valuable to them, and he has stepped up in the toughest environments, the biggest games, Purdue, Indiana specifically, and absolutely willed them to 2 huge road wins.
Well, I got the stats for you, Jeff, real quick. They've never won at Mackey, at Assembly Hall, and at the Breslin Center in the same season. And in those 3 games, Johnny Davis is averaging 30 points and 12 boards while shooting 62% from the floor. He also had 29 in the win over a full strength Houston. He went nuts in the win over St. Mary's. There is no like Heisman moment or whatever in college basketball, but Johnny Davis has had like 6 of them.
At least season. two big ones, which are the Purdue one. I thought was the biggest one of the year because winning at Mackey against a top 5-ish Purdue team was insane. Like that to me might've been the best. And he had 14 rebounds. Look at Johnny Davis. And you're like, how does he constantly get 12, 14 rebounds? How tall is Johnny Davis, you think?
6'5".
Yeah, 6'4",
6'5". He's not built. He's not like overly. He just, he does everything for that team. Everything.
Mm-hmm. Prohm, who are you taking for National Player of the Year right now?
I think the whole, when you add the 2 guys, we said Timmy wasn't on the list and Johnny, obviously, for the reasons you touched on. Everybody but EJ Liddell is a top 4 seed in its top 16. And everybody is either first or right there, second place. And even EJ Liddell, Ohio State, they lost today, or they would have been with 4 losses right there. If you took any of these guys off, it's a major, major blow. Yep. I said Ochai in the beginning of the year. The way Oscar's been and the impact he's had on Kentucky this year, right now, I would say Oscar Tshiebwe right now.
So why? Talk me through why. Because I get a little bit I have a little trouble putting a guy that is not like the go-to offensive force offensively as the National Player of the Year. Like he's not the guy that you're going to take to give the ball to in the final seconds of a possession for Kentucky. So why are you taking him National Player of the Year?
Just because I think he's totally changed the landscape to where you watch him when he catches in the post, you're sending a double because of his size and his ability, just his sheer strength. And then to be elite, you got to have guys do special things and do tough things. And he's at the premier program in college basketball. Blue blood, you can argue Kansas, Kentucky, UCLA, Indiana, all that. And he is sold out to being the elite rebounder, the best rebounder in college basketball. And it's not like getting 10 rebounds, 11 rebounds. He's almost getting 18, 19, 20 every single night in the SEC. And, he's almost, you look at his number from his first year at West Virginia, first year and a half to now, it's phenomenal. The progression he's made, and he's okay with that. And I think you take him off that team with his ability to protect the basket and the way he rebounds on both ends of the floor, I think it's a major loss. And so you could evaluate all these guys, Kofi, he's a monster,
That's what I was going to ask you guys about. So if I would probably pick Johnny Davis at this point, right? Goodman picked Johnny Davis. I think that Oscar Tshiebwe and Johnny Davis, depending on where you look, are probably the consensus favorites. But if you ask the people that watch the Big Ten every single night who the 2 best players in that conference are and who should be winning Big Ten Player of the Year, they will tell you it's probably Kofi Cockburn and then EJ Liddell. Kofi Cockburn tonight had 27 and 9 against Michigan State. On the season, he is averaging 21 points and 11 boards. Shooting 61% from the floor. I think
Oscar's been better to me. If you're going to go with a big, I would go with Oscar over Kofi.
See, when you look at EJ Liddell, and this is just me, you look at him and you say, man, in 4 or 5 years, he's going to be an NBA All-Star. Just because of the things he can do with the basketball.
And he'll be drafted 10 spots lower than Johnny Davis, which would be the crazy part. He will. I think he'll go in the 20s. And to be honest, last year, I don't even know if anybody would have drafted him. I think he would have went in the 50s last year, but he slimmed down.
You know what? He got better defensively too.
Much better.
Yeah, he's much better defensively. And honestly, I would probably take Johnny Davis 10 spots over EJ Liddell simply because I see EJ as a guy that's going to be like an elite complementary piece in the NBA. I think you get him in the second round or at the end of the first round, and your team's getting better because he just fits what you want out of the NBA. Whereas Johnny Davis, like, could be a star. Like Johnny Davis could be a superstar in the NBA. A guy with his size, his athleticism, his shot making ability, his ability to play off the bounce. I think in the draft, the way I just kind of look at it is you got to shoot for the home run there, right? You can't try to hit a single if you're picking in the first round. Like, you want to go out there and try to land Giannis, even if you end up with the Alex Pokashevsky or whatever his name is, right? You got to try to land Giannis.
You've given up on Pokashevsky?
No, I'm just saying.
All right.
You know, like, I think
you haven't given up on him.
I would never give up on Pokashevsky.
But I mean, you look at Ochai. I mean, every one of these guys, these top 7, Drew Timme. I mean, you could make an unbelievable argument for any of these guys. I mean, Ochai Agbaji, number 1 seed, came back to school his senior year. He's done everything for this team. Everything. You know, man, he's made big plays for him late. Coach Self runs stuff for him out of timeouts. They execute. He's still burning people on the back cut lob. I mean, you hear Fran Fraschilla yelling, "Hey, they're about the back cut, burn from the corner, lob Agbaji." You know, he makes big plays for them. I mean, Drew Timme, I mean, they're the number 1 team in the country, and he's the best player on the team.
Well, the reason I don't think Drew Timme is going to get it is because there's going to be enough people out there that are super into the stats and the numbers and the efficiencies and the Evan Miyakawas of the world that are going to tell you that Chet Holmgren is the most valuable player on that team. So the vote's going to end up getting split. Like, I don't see any way Drew Timme can get it because enough people are going to say Chet Holmgren is the best player on that team. How can you give National Player of the Year?
Well, it's the same thing
to Timme.
Rob, it's the same thing at Auburn with Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler. You're trying to tell me Walker Kessler is more important than us.
He is averaging over 6 blocks a game in SEC play.
I'm just saying.
The
so
reason
you're
why
taking votes away tonight. You're taking votes away from Jabari Smith right now.
Honestly, I don't think either of them should be National Player of the Year, just because I don't think either of them has been as impactful as, like, to me.
What about Keegan Murray? Would you put Keegan Murray in that equation now, in that top tier? It's hard not to. I know his team hasn't been as good over the course of the season.
That's what it is. He's not putting up good enough numbers. I'm not going to roll through the stats again, but there's never been a player that's not been a top 4 seed that has been National Player of the Year since since I think Andrew Bogut in 2005.
And I think you got to be competing for a conference championship. And like I said,
Kirk Kriisa. I might have to put my headband on for the afters, because
that was a big one. He missed 3 in a row before that. They were kind of leaving.
It doesn't matter.
To take that shot. But
listen, when everything's on the line, nobody wants the basketball more than Kirk Kriisa. Nobody.
That is very true. Are we going to get an answer from Oregon here? But listen, this has been a thrilling show. Jeff and Steve, it is always a pleasure to talk basketball with you guys on a Saturday night here on the Field of 68 After Dark. We are continuing this on the after. So if you're listening right now, jump onto YouTube, jump onto Twitter, come join us. We're going to be answering your questions in the chat. So for producer Kono, for Jeff, for Steve Prohm, my name is Rob Dauster. Thanks for being here.
And you're clear.
Oh man, here we go.
Jacob Young.
What happened?
Here we go.
Yeah. Take your headband off.
All right, listen.
How about Jacob Young, man? He should still be a Rutgers.
Yeah. Listen, guys. While we're in the timeout here, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's more important than peace of mind? Nothing is more important than peace of mind. That's what NordVPN is here for, to give you peace of mind while you are online. And with all of the threats that you face today on the internet, it is more important than ever to be sure that you have the best VPN that you can get. NordVPN is the world's best VPN service, offering the fastest connectivity, most servers, and next-gen encryption to make sure that everything you do online stays secure. And we know, Prohm, what you do online needs to stay secure. So plus, you can use NordVPN on all of your computers and all of your devices, no matter the operating system. With NordVPN's unlimited bandwidth, you never have to worry about a slow connection either, and plans start at just under $4 a month. So grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/Bleav or use the code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, to get up to 70% off your Nord VPN plan, plus 1 additional month for free. It's also risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/BLEAV. All right. We got 42 seconds here. Arizona is up 1 with the ball. I think we just need to watch this with you guys. Dagan, if we got any questions in the chat, hit us with it. Oh, Goodman got the headband.
Jeff Kreese is in the building.
Jeff Kreese is in the build.
That's right. That's right. You know,
Jeff, what year did you finish?
If
What year did you
Arizona
finish at
really
Arizona?
wanted to help the league, they'd let Oregon win here. Because if Oregon wins, they're in. They're in the tournament.
Oregon gets blasted at Cal. They lose by 100 at Cal, but then they go out and they win at Arizona, at UCLA, and at USC. That would have to be the strangest resume in the history of resumes. That would put Alabama to shame if they found a way to pull that off. By the way, how am I going to open this? I got to find a way to open it. Hold on, Jeff, you take over.
Are you going to really shotgun this thing? I mean, he has.
He is. He 100%
as long as I do as long as I do better than Trevor Knight, then we're good.
They tried to get me to shotgun a beer in Lubbock. I don't know if I told you this, but you know, they had a platform.
The students.
So they had a platform, and the kid Odiasi from a few years ago when they went to the national title game, he shotgun one. They're all chanting his name. There's got to be like 2,000 students out there ready to go into the game. It's like an hour before. And then they start chanting my name. And all I could think of twofold. Like, the excuse was easy. The excuse was, well, if I do it before the game, I could get fired, right? Like, it doesn't look good if the video gets out there. But all I could think of in my head, Prohm, was the last time I shotgunned a beer had to be 25 years ago. And I'm like, I don't even know if I could do it. Like, it could be so ugly if I try to do this. I just said, I'm like, I can't. No way. And,
When did you finish at Arizona?
1995. I took the 5-year plan at Arizona. Actually, 5.5-year plan.
So Lute was there the whole time. Then Lute was there the whole time. With you.
Four first-round losses.
Did you guys see that?
What'd you do?
I opened it, but I just absolutely soaked myself and soaked like my entire office.
You have no idea what you're doing.
No, I mean, I don't know. You gotta pop it, and I just soaked everything because it sprayed everywhere. I might have shaken it up a little bit.
That's right. The people want
You're
it,
terrible.
so it's for the people.
All right, Arizona up 2 here. Tubelis at the line with 38 seconds left. I'll tell you what, Tubelis might be as tough a dude as there is out there. He's still playing hurt.
Hey, where does Arizona's atmosphere rank?
It's not nearly as good as it. Like, honestly, I'm not kidding. It was, it was like 4th among the ones I've went to this year. And I went UCLA, Arizona, which is usually, when I was a student, that was incredible. But a lot of the older people aren't going, and there's a lot of older people in Tucson. They're not going to the games because, the masks and everything like that and COVID. So the top level was like, there were a lot of empty seats. But here's the thing. If they win tonight, this is a plea for dirtbags. Let these dudes in. Don't make them sit in the line. Don't not let them in. If you guys are hearing, like, this would never happen in Lexington, Kentucky, Lawrence, Kansas, and even in probably Chapel Hill for Carolina right now. They beat a crappy Virginia Tech team on the road in Blacksburg tonight. They probably don't have to wait in line.
Can I do this now? Are you going to keep talking?
I'm trying to buy you some time, you slow ass.
Let's do it.
Oh, man.
Are you okay? We're not going to have to get your
You
wife in
mean to call the
save you, are you? Are we?
Oh, God.
Wow. Jesus.
What was that you just did, Drake?
It's called a shotgun.
No. What was the drink?
What do you do? A White Claw?
White Claw. You
White
said.
Claw, yeah.
Prom, what do you drink?
I'm not. If I'm gonna I'll have a beer here and there. Bud Light, Bud Light Lime or Corona. Something.
Bud Light Lime.
Corona.
Wow.
Usually probably something like that.
Dauster gets
Please,
after
was that better? Was that better or worse than Trevor Knight?
I'll say this: the chat is not happy. That's so damn
What?
slow. And a cough, not Texas Tech.
I know the coughing at the end. It
Slowest
was kinda
shotgun
weak,
I've ever
Dauster.
saw. A+ for
Yeah,
effort, though.
I agree. I'm going to weigh in here. I agree.
No, it was. It
That
wasn't great.
sucked.
That was the first thing that I've shotgunned in probably like 7 years.
Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. When would I ever shotgun?
I don't know. I don't know. At Indy, I don't know. In Indy,
I got two
don't know.
kids.
All kinds of shotguns were happening in Indianapolis, so I don't know.
All right, what's going on here? Jacob Young.
Yeah,
They're
this
down
one
3.
missed it.
Oh, he missed it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you what, Koloko, as good a defender overall as there might be in the country, because he can do everything. The way he can move, I know, again, Kessler's better in terms of his numbers and all that, you know.
Cubs win just told me I need to do it again and do it right.
Well, you should.
Sam said it wasn't bad. So.
Yeah, but the coughing at the end was such a freaking weak ass move. I mean, you can't. You got to hold that.
200 likes for another.
Arizona may be the best team.
All right. Yeah. If we get to 200 likes on this, we'll do another one.
Everybody hit that like button.
Oh man, so classic. 200 likes for another. Get all your friends in the chat. Hey, everybody, get some people in. Everybody, get one more person in.
Here go the likes. They're starting
get
to
some likes, and we'll get Dawson to do another. Unbelievable.
153.
All right, what do we got for questions? Hit a few questions, Dagan.
Yes, let me scroll back and find them. Let me get past all the shotgun reviews, and I'll go back and find our questions. There's one. Here we go. Shout out from our guy Pressure Washing by Sterling Wash. Shout out to him. What team has the best chance of winning the championship right now at this moment, as of tonight?
Gonzaga.
Well, according to BetRivers odds, Gonzaga right now is a plus 400 favorite. They're plus 400 to win it, which means it's only 4-1, which means they are the overwhelming favorite.
Give me the next. Read off the next 5.
Hold on, let me bring it up. I only knew that one off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Read it when you get it.
Vamp, Goodman, Vamp.
Another question, Dagan? You got another one ready?
Yes, I do. I do have another one from JLC23. He wants to know your top 8 in order. So your top 8 seeds in order.
Top 8 teams to win it all, or seeds?
Top 8 seeds. I'm assuming it just says top 8 teams in order for all 3. So let's do seeds. No, let's do top 8 teams to win the title. Let's do that. I'm changing
my top 8 teams. If I'm ranking my top 8 to
in
win
order.
the whole thing. Oh shit! Big 3 for Oregon there. Deep 3. I would go Gonzaga 1 for me. Kentucky 2.
Kentucky is the second favorite at BetRivers. They are plus 850 to win it.
All right. I'm going to continue, and then you can tell me the odds as we're going through it. I will go Purdue at 3.
Purdue is 5th on BetRivers. They are 10.5 to 1.
All right. 4, I'm going to go Duke.
12 to 1. They are tied with Baylor for number 6.
Then I'm going to go Baylor. Baylor, Robert?
Yeah, they're Baylor and Duke are tied at 6.
Tied at 6.
I didn't hear you. Okay. Then I will go then I will go Villanova.
Villanova is 26 to 1 to win it all. If you like Villanova over Arizona and Auburn and Kansas and UCLA and Illinois, then you need to go to BetRivers right now. You go to betrivers.com or get the BetRivers iOS app, and you need to put down something. $10, $20.
And I will. I just saw Villanova, and all I know is they have the point guard I trust the most in the entire country. And you know how much I like point guard play.
Oh,
really?
Arizona, what are you doing? Oh,
is that Pelle Larson?
These dudes look like they're shotgun and White Claws over there. Unbelievable.
They're gonna be later.
So Colin Gillespie is the point guard that you trust over everybody else in college basketball right now.
Hell yes. And I'm not even thinking twice about it right now. Like, yes, 100% yes.
I think I agree. I just want to I'm bringing up a team list so I can kind of just look through. And...
Yeah, I mean, you find me one that you trust more. You can't, because that dude is unflappable. He makes every big shot. I think I told this story. I don't know if I told it the other night or not.
No, tell it. You did not. Tell it now. Tell it now. This is a great story. This is a great
Dagan
story.
hates my stories.
Oh, not another Goodman story. All right.
No,
I'll give this one a chance.
This isn't a story about Goodman, which is so it's going to be good.
It's going to be
a story that
exactly.
Goodman.
It's not about me.
Goodman.
It's
all right. Tell the story.
This is a great story.
This is in Minneapolis at the Final Four.
Wait, hold on. Prohm,
yeah,
do you foul here? Yeah,
Prohm? You foul here. Of course you foul here. You foul
Yes,
right.
sir. You'd foul with 10 seconds.
Now. You foul now, Coloco. Now.
What are you?
You guys are very behind.
Oh, it didn't even matter. He just swatted that crap.
What is Richardson
my
doing?
God.
Why? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? There, you see the clock running down. Why are you dribbling in? Did he think they were down 2?
Yeah,
he didn't know the score. There's no way he knew the score. What is he doing? Where is he going? Anyway, go ahead. Tell your Colin Gillespie story, so I don't have to yell about Will Richardson doing dumb things.
I'm in Minneapolis, and
hold on. Christian Coloco is the best defensive player in the country. Come on.
I said might be. I didn't say he is. I said he might be. Because hey, can Walker Kessler do this? Can he do this?
Yes.
Can he do this? Look at that.
Yes.
On a guard. Bullshit. You're out of your friggin' mind. No other big guy can do this. Look at this. The way this dude moves.
Tyson Hale said I need to go shotgun a Zima now.
All right. Anyway. All right. So 2019 NCAA Final Four in Minneapolis. Villanova had just gotten blasted by Purdue in the second round. They were 6th seed that year. Colin Gillespie was coming off his sophomore year and is averaging about 10 points a game. First year as a full-time point guard. His freshman year, he had come off the bench. So I'm talking to Jay Wright in the lobby. I run into him. I'm leaving. He's coming in. We're shooting the shit for about 10, 15 minutes. And I said to him, hey, talking about his team, your point guard, I just don't know if he's quite good enough. And he's like, no, you're right. Like, I don't know if he's good enough either to lead us to the highest level. So the other night I'm in Providence and Gillespie goes for 33. And I said to him, Jay, do you remember that conversation? And I'm like, on the record, he's like, yeah, I totally remember it. He's like, we took Colin Gillespie because we couldn't get anybody else. It was like, it wasn't Maine. It was Maine and another school that had offered him at that point. Nobody wanted him. And we took him because we had Brunson and we couldn't get another good point guard. So we took Gillespie with the idea of redshirting him. And he was too good in practice. So we took him out of his red shirt. But even after his freshman and sophomore year, Jay Wright was not sold. And he kind of laughed at me. He's like, yeah, I'm one hell of an evaluator, aren't I? I did the same thing with Ryan Arcidiacono. I didn't think he was good enough early either. So, I love that Jay was able to, most guys would not have admitted they remember that conversation. Jay totally did, came forward with it and was like, I'm an idiot.
Do you know what one NBA scout told me? It was the Villanova was playing. Who were they playing? I want to say it was Villanova was playing Butler at the Finn. When it was a year, Butler was like a top 15 team. Remember that they had that one year, 3 years ago, where they won their first 12 games or something like that, and they climbed in the top 15.
Yep.
And it was Butler at Villanova. It was a top 15 game, and Villanova ran them off the floor. And I'm sitting at the game. We're sitting next to an NBA scout, and that scout, he said, there's no way that Villanova can get anything done this year when they have an America East point guard running the show for them.
Wow.
So to see Colin Gillespie where he is now is just it's really impressive.
That's what I'm saying.
Was he like he was a quarterback in high school, wasn't he?
I don't know, but he shows no emotion. The dude is just he's a stud in that. And he learned it. I asked him this. He said he kind of learned it from Brunson and Arcidiacono, because they're similar. None of them showed any emotion, and they kind of passed it down to each other. It's just, to me, their culture is so strong, and Eric Dixon has gotten good enough, guys. He's gotten good enough to whereas they're not deep. That's my one concern with them. But with their starting five, I don't know. Like, I'm not betting against Villanova, guys. I just think their culture is strong enough. They've won two national titles. I'd take them over a lot of those other teams that I don't trust Auburn's point guard play, Kansas's point guard play, Arizona's point guard play yet. Now, Purdue's point guard play is a little different for me because they can put the ball in Jaden Ivey's hands and just say, make a play.
Their issues, they can't stop anybody. They can't. Their point guards can't guard anybody.
Agreed.
But I think it's crazy. But I think that you're right. I think that Colin Gillespie is probably the most trustworthy point guard.
Prohm, you got anybody else?
No, I think we talked about this. Shoot, when it was 2 months ago, and Gillespie, was our the guy that we all talked about. I mean, he was phenomenal against Providence the other night. And watching that game in that kind of environment, just to say, hey, Providence, it's not your title this year yet. And you still got to come to Philly. You
guys are going to call this a homer pick, right? And I know everyone's going to call this a homer.
Oh,
pick.
You're not back on the UConn wagon.
No. But where does RJ Cole fall in this conversation for point guards? Because that dude has stepped up and made a number of unbelievable big shots, and on a team that doesn't have any other point guard options has been. He's been really, really good. He's averaging like 16 points, 4.5 assists, shooting good numbers, good efficiency numbers. Like where does he fall in that conversation in a year where there's not very many good point guards out there?
Not in the top 10 nationally, not in the top 10, but he's good. He's good. The problem with RJ Cole is he's missing a wing around him. He's missing a dude that can take some pressure off him. He'd be great if he had, a book night, who, by the way, that was still the most entertaining thing. Can we
talk about that?
Rob.
Can we talk about that?
We should.
So UConn beat Xavier today.
Was he answering your phone call? Were you talking?
Yeah.
You were talking to him?
No, I was texting him and I said, call that ref a bitch. And that's what he did. No, but James Bouknight was sitting courtside on his first time back to the program since being back to Gamble since being a lottery pick. And apparently he was running his mouth to the ref because he got thrown out of the gym. They told him to leave. So as he's walking off, instead of going down the tunnel, he throws his hood up and then runs up and spends the rest of the game in the student section.
Which is just that's a veteran move. That's a veteran move.
That is a veteran move.
So I told Arizona fans to come in the chat a little bit here. So is Kerr Kriisa the most electrifying personality in college? Do we need more Kerr Kriisas, Steve Prohm? You're a more mellow dude. How would you react to coaching Kerr Kriisa?
I'd be fine. I think you have to let your players, be who they are. And, the great players I've coached, and I think Rob and I were talking, like Terrence Shannon today, like he showed some fire, right? He showed some fire, him and Bryson Williams, him and Mark Adams one time. But, the great one.
Just for people that didn't see it, what happened at the end was on the final possession when Texas Tech was up by 1, Terrence Shannon had a matchup that he liked, and he was trying to dribble the ball out, and Mark Adams was asking him to call a timeout, and he waved him off. And then another player on the court called a timeout, and Terrence Shannon pounded the ball into the ground and bounced it up really high. Very clearly, visibly upset about the decision to call the timeout there. But go ahead, Prohm. Sorry.
But I think you've got to let them, be there themselves, whether it's, the last Tyrese Halliburton, he played with a lot of emotion and played to the crowd and, enjoyed the ambiance and being flamboyant, to the crowd. And, obviously Nihang had great personality that he played with. And, when I had Isaiah Cannon or Cameron Payne, I think the great ones, the guys that you want making that deep three, like Kerr made there, they're going to have some personality. And I think at the great schools, whether it's Iowa State that I was at or in Arizona, man, you got to have that personality. because you got to connect in that community. You got to connect on that campus. And that's that just, to me, that's a big recruiting tool. Like, we need that personality. And if you've got personality and character and you can play, man, you can own this community. You can own this campus. And I'm sure he is.
Hey, Steve, how about this? Kirk Creesa, you know how much money he's made through NIL?
None. He's overseas.
They're not allowed to make a dollar.
Yeah.
Not a dollar. I actually need to write that story. I'm going to work on it this week because I talked to Tubelis a little bit about it. And, it's not going to change, I guess, because of their passport. They're not allowed to. So there's nothing they can do. There's nothing that's going to be done. So Dalen Terry is the beneficiary because he's like the only dude who plays on that team that's not international. Yeah. So he gets all the money in Tucson. How about that?
He better be buying his teammates dinner.
He probably buys dinner for Crease every
time. He should, because there's a lot of money in Tucson for that program, and they're all who do we give it to? Give it to Dalen.
And then Kirk can't get dirt bags, and he's got to get his teammates to buy him dinner, man. Rough life for Kirk Crease over there in Tucson. Brutal. I'm going to
tweet out dirtbags, let Kerr in tonight. Let Kerr skip the line.
Yep. All right. So let's get to our 3 cheers and then we can get out of here. We have not gotten to 200 likes yet, so I'm saved. I'm safe. All right.
Never say never, Dauster.
I know, right?
A little bit of time left.
Prom, I'm going to you first on this one. What is what's your cheers of the night? Who are you toasting to?
Cheers to Tony Bennett in Virginia. I think kind of piggybacking off of, what we talked about early, big winners. They beat Miami today, on the road, and now they've set it up for a huge showdown against Duke this week. If they can win this, I think they can finish out, maybe 20-10, and they're going to be right there chomping at some people's heels. And who would want to see them in 11-12, kind of in that 6-11, 5-12 game if they're able to get in? So 3 cheers to Tony Bennett in Virginia to really play well this back half of the year and then put themselves in position for a great showdown against Duke this week.
Goodman, your cheers of the night?
Goodman, the chat is requesting you tell another story to drag this out so we can get to 200 likes.
Oh, are we close?
We're at 191.
191.
200 likes, everybody. And
right, come on,
going to shotgun another White Claw. So go ahead, Goodman.
We got to get there. What awful story can I tell?
What toughest fan base on you? What's the toughest fan base?
I mean, they've all, like, I used to have to go to Tucson, and I had to check in under a different name at the hotel, the Marriott on campus there, because they hated me there so much. So that's a thing of the past. They're good now. I would say overall Kentucky, I had to change my phone number, my home phone number, because of Kentucky fans.
Really?
And it's unlisted now. Yeah. That was years ago. That was probably when it started with me and Cal not talking to each other. So probably going back maybe 12, 13 years ago. I'm trying to think. The better question would be, what fan base have you never had issues with? Like, what fan base? Because, listen, there's always going to be a time for the most part that I'm going to be, they're going to have a down year, right? Yeah. Like Carolina this year, right? Like, you're going to have a down year. They're not going to like it early. I'm going to say they're not going to, they're not as good early as they think they are, like Arkansas this year. Arkansas was hard on me because I always said I didn't think Mike Anderson was, doing a great job. I thought it was time for him, and they didn't. And as it turns out, I think I was right, because I think Muss has done an incredible job, and it had run its course. I think he went to 2 tournaments in 9 years and won maybe 1 tournament game in 9 years, Mike Anderson. It's really hard because, again, like, I'm pretty honest. You know that. Like, I'm probably too honest for the most part, but I've always just been that way. I'm going to say it the way it is, and I'll take the criticism, and I'll be wrong a lot. I'll be wrong a lot.
But like, from the outside, Mama Hog, that looks fun. You know what I mean? That looks just fun and part of sports.
And most of it is.
Yeah.
Like, most of it on Twitter is harmless. Again, I tell people all the time, you can say whatever you want about me. I don't care. Have fun, be creative, call me a different name, and I'll retweet it. right? Like instead of the same Jeff Badman, like you do that, like you're an idiot. Like come up with something good, different. As long as you don't, go after my family. That's the only thing I would say is off limits. But other than that, like I'm sure you got stuff. I don't know. Your last year, did you read Twitter? Were you on it?
Yeah, I probably read it too. If there wasn't a lot of basketball stuff on there, I probably wouldn't be on it just because, you're on it because you need it for like the whether you want to watch basketball plays or you want to follow recruiting and different things like that. But obviously there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you got to take it all for what it's worth. And it's just, to me, it's just, it's an opinion and you move on. But the hard part as a coach, I think, is 80 to 90% is usually good regardless. Right. Totally. But the only thing that you take in is the 10, 15% that say that you can't coach or you can't recruit or you made this mistake.
Yeah, they're mean spirited to you sometimes. And again, you're a grown man. I'm a grown man. I'm fine with that. Like it's the kids to me, the players. Like don't go after the players because they're really reading it. Like we're reading it, but we're used to it at this point in our lives. Yeah. It really doesn't bother me. But the kids, like, don't go after a kid ever. And these days, one thing that's happening a lot right now, how about this? These kids are getting crushed by people on social media for like gambling info. Like, are you playing tonight? Are you not playing tonight? A lot of that is happening right now with guys that are questionable going into the games. And it's getting a little bit out of control. But again, this is social media. This is a different. We didn't grow up in this.
Well, we joke all the time that the guys I went to college with is like, if what if you had Twitter 25 years ago? But
all right, I'm jumping in here. We hit our 200. So thank you, Goodman, for the.
I am so not looking forward to this chugging seltzers.
Can we tweet this out beforehand, Dagan? Before he chugs it, give one tweet. No, wait.
Oh.
You are the biggest wuss ever. Seriously, you are the biggest wuss.
Also, that was not a White Claw. I noticed that. That was not high noon.
High noon. I love.
What are we trying to get to 300?
Yeah, 300 now. I mean, might as well, right?
300.
It's quiet at this house now. Everybody's asleep. So
chugging seltzers is awful. Like I never.
Is it bad?
It's so bubbly.
Yeah, it is a little bubbly for you.
It's so bubbly.
You're not the toughest dude either. We know that.
No, I'm not. But one person has shotgun two of them on this stream, and one person has not shotgunned any. So
that would be me.
Yeah.
That would be
chat. How did I do? Can I get some people?
I have put a question there. Let's get some ratings.
Shotgun rating.
Let's get a rating.
Asking. What's the rating? 1 to 10. 1 to 10.
Oh,
what is it?
ZS77 said that one didn't count because the tweet didn't go out.
Surratt said from a 4 to a 7.
Because he didn't.
I got better. I'm improving.
7.8. Ooh,
here's
look at these
7. Yeah, not bad. I could do it. Look, see, hey.
Week 3, not on camera.
Hey,
I agree.
see.
Pressure here. Our guy pressure washing. It said in Kentucky we chug bourbon. So I mean, 300 likes and
I want to hang out with that guy.
A lot of 7.7s.
Kendrick Washington. I am calling you out for that. That is not fair. Just because he's a UConn fan doesn't mean he gets.
It's a 10, baby. Let's go. We stick up for each other.
All right. What do we got to finish with our cheers?
Yeah. Well, Prohm already did his cheers.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tony Bennett. I did Tony Bennett. And I want to do Texas Tech too. I mean, Mark Adams, Texas Tech, to sweep Texas.
We talked about them already. I'm
trying to think who I can go with that because I was gonna do,
let me do mine first. Then let me do mine first.
All
right, so I'll do mine first. I'm going with Iowa. They entered today without a quad 1 win. They were one of the teams that probably would have been, if they had lost this game, we would be talking about them. Do they deserve to be on the bubble? At what point do we talk about them not being in the tournament? Blah blah blah. All of this. So they're nothing but metrics. And then they go out and they win at Ohio State and land themselves a nice top 30 road win, top 20 road win. Ohio State is 17th right now in the net. So good for Iowa. Congrats to Keegan Murray. He is a special player. And I hope this means that we're going to see them in the NCAA tournament, because he's the kind of guy that can carry a team to a Final Four. Goodman, go ahead.
I mean, I got to keep it at home here. I got to go. I got to go with Arizona here. I got to go with my boys in Tucson. Listen, I'm enjoying this. I know I'm not supposed to. You're supposed to be impartial, and I really am pretty objective for the most part. Again, they hated me not too long ago in Tucson, but it's fun to have your alma mater be this good again. I don't know if they can win a title, but I think they're in the equation right now. It's one of the top 10 teams.
Yep. All right. Well, listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. We let this thing, it seems like Saturdays we just end up letting this thing roll until Dagan says,
why
all right,
not?
It's because I get to sleep in tomorrow.
Are we close to 300 likes?
Prohm doesn't
we're
work.
not. We're getting out of here. We're
211.
We're getting out. I'm ending this before we get anywhere near 300.
211. We need 89.
89
we need
more
one more
likes.
Colin Gillespie story.
I got nothing left.
All right. So this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's going to be great when people hear this on the podcast and listen to me chug a White Claw on the stream. That'll be great.